Let me ask you something that might make you a little uncomfortable. Not because I want to upset you, but because I genuinely believe that the most important conversations are the ones nobody wants to start. Here it is. What did you do with yesterday? Not last year, not last month, yesterday, just 24 hours ago. How did those hours leave your hands? Did they go towards something that mattered, something that will still mean something 5 years from now? Or did they slip through your fingers while you were scrolling, snoozing, and telling yourself that tomorrow you'd finally get serious? I'm not here to judge you. I've been there. Most people have. But I am here to tell you something that took me a long time to understand. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is not a talent gap. It's not a money gap. It's not even a luck gap. It's a discipline gap. And that gap, you built it yourself, one wasted hour at a time, the myth of someday. We are living in the age of the greatest excuse ever invented, and that excuse has a name. Someday. Someday I'll start working on my goals. Someday I'll take that course. Someday I'll build that business. Someday I'll get serious about my health. Someday when the time is right. Someday when I have more money. Someday when things settle down. Here's the brutal truth nobody tells you. Someday is not a day of the week. There is no Monday called someday. It doesn't show up on your calendar. You can't schedule a meeting for someday morning at 9 a.m. It doesn't exist, and every single moment you spend waiting for it is a moment you are actively choosing to fall behind. Think about it this way. Right now, somewhere in the world, there is someone your age, same city maybe, same kind of family background, same level of education, same resources more or less. But while you've been waiting for someday, they've been showing up every single day. They've been learning, building, failing, getting back up, adjusting, moving forward. 6 months from now, that person will be in a completely different place than you. Not because they were smarter, not because they had more connections, but because they refused to wait. The world doesn't reward the most talented people. It rewards the most consistent ones. Let that land. What successful people actually have in common? Here's a question worth thinking about. What do the most successful people in the world, across every field, every industry, every culture, actually have in common? Is it genius? No. History is full of brilliant people who died broke and forgotten. Is it privilege? Sometimes it plays a role, but the majority of the world's most accomplished people came from middle-class or even lower-income backgrounds. Struggle wasn't a barrier for them. For many of them, struggle was the fuel. Is it luck? Maybe a little. But you can't build a life on luck. You can't train luck. You can't wake up at 5 a.m. and practice luck. So what is it? After studying thousands of high achievers, athletes, entrepreneurs, artists, scientists, leaders, researchers found that the most common thread wasn't what these people were born with. It was what they chose to do, every single day without exception. It was their mindset, their habits, and their willingness to act. Let's break those down one by one. The first thing that separates high achievers from everyone else is how they think. Not what they think about, how. Most people think small by default. They set goals that feel realistic. They aim just high enough to not embarrass themselves if they fail. They keep their dreams quietly modest because somewhere along the way, someone taught them that dreaming too big was dangerous. But here's what's fascinating. When you study people who have achieved extraordinary things, almost universally, they will tell you they dreamed bigger than made sense. Their goals seemed unrealistic even to them at first. But because the goal was big enough, it pulled them. It gave them something worth sacrificing for. Small goals don't demand sacrifice. If the goal is comfortable, you'll pursue it comfortably. And a comfortable pursuit almost never leads to an extraordinary result. Here's the mindset shift. Stop asking, "Is this realistic?" and start asking, "Is this worth it?" Because a goal doesn't have to be guaranteed. It doesn't have to be easy. It doesn't even have to be likely. It just has to be worth fighting for. And when you find something worth fighting for, the entire way you use your time changes. You stop seeing sleep as a luxury and start seeing wasted hours as theft. Because every hour you lose is an hour stolen from the future you're trying to build. Your mindset determines your ceiling. And right now, most people are living far below a ceiling they built themselves. Raise the ceiling. The view is better up there. Part 4. The action problem. Here's something almost nobody talks about, even though it ruins more potential than anything else. Most people have great ideas. Seriously, walk into any coffee shop, any office, any university campus and start asking people what they want to do with their lives. You'll hear brilliant ideas, creative ideas, ideas that could actually work, business concepts, creative projects, solutions to real problems. And then ask them how long they've had that idea. 3 years, 5 years, since college, since I was a teenager. The idea has been sitting there, fully formed, gathering dust, while the person who had it spent thousands of hours consuming content about success instead of actually pursuing it. This is the action problem, and it might be the single most common human tragedy. We are wired to confuse motion with progress. Reading about fitness feels productive. Watching videos about entrepreneurship feels like learning. Making lists and plans and vision boards feels like moving forward. But none of it counts until you actually move. The moment an idea hits you, the moment you feel that spark of "I could actually do this," the window is open. And here's what most people don't realize: that window doesn't stay open forever. The longer you wait, the more your brain finds reasons why the idea won't work. The more you talk yourself out of it, the more the world moves on without you. Successful people are not more creative than you. They are not smarter than you. The one thing they do that you might not is this. When the idea comes, they move. Immediately, imperfectly, but they move. Done imperfectly today will always beat perfect someday. Take the first step, even if it's small, even if you don't feel ready. Because here's the secret nobody advertises. Readiness is not a feeling you get before you start. It's a feeling you build by starting. Part 5. The real cost of comfort. Let's talk about comfort, because this is where most dreams quietly die. Comfort is not your friend. I know that's hard to hear, but comfort is the enemy of the life you actually want. Here's how it works. The human brain is wired to seek pleasure and avoid pain. That's not a flaw, it kept our ancestors alive. But in the modern world, that same wiring pulls us toward comfort at the exact moments we most need to push through discomfort. That extra hour of sleep when you should be working on your goals, comfort. Scrolling through social media instead of reading something that would actually improve your skills, comfort. Avoiding the conversation, the decision, the risk, because what if it doesn't work out, comfort. Every time you choose comfort over growth, you're making a trade. You're giving up a piece of your potential future for a moment of ease in your present, and those trades accumulate. Slowly, invisibly, one comfortable choice at a time, you build a life that is soft on the outside and hollow on the inside. Now here's the part that people get wrong. I'm not telling you to suffer. I'm not saying you need to punish yourself or live like a machine. What I'm saying is this. Learn to be comfortable with discomfort. Learn to sit in the feeling of hard work long enough that it starts to feel normal. Because on the other side of that discomfort is something most people never find: real confidence. Not the kind you perform for other people. The kind that comes from knowing in your bones that you did the work when it was hard. That kind of confidence can't be faked, and it can't be bought. It can only be earned. Part 6. Time. Your only and renewable resource. Money can be made, lost, and made again. Relationships can be repaired. Health, in many cases, can be recovered. But time moves in one direction only, and it doesn't ask for your permission. Right now, as you're reading this, time is moving. It doesn't care whether you're using it or wasting it. It just goes. And at the end, whether that end comes in 40 years or tomorrow, you will account for how you spent it. Most people dramatically underestimate how much time they waste, not in big, obvious ways, in small, almost invisible ones. Think about your phone. How many times a day do you pick it up without a reason? How many minutes, hours disappear into apps that give you nothing, teach you nothing, build you nothing? Studies show the average person spends several hours a day on social media. Several hours, every day. Now do the math. Several hours a day over a year is thousands of hours. Thousands of hours that could have been spent learning a new skill, building something, improving your health, deepening your relationships, working on your craft. What if you reclaimed just 2 of those hours every single day and pointed them towards something meaningful? In 1 year, you'd have 700 hours of focused effort behind you. In 5 years, 3,500 hours. That's roughly the same number of hours it takes to achieve genuine mastery in a skill, according to most researchers. You don't have a time problem. You have a priorities problem. And priorities are a choice. Choose differently and your life becomes different. It's almost that simple. Part 7. Consistency vs. intensity. Here's a mistake a lot of motivated people make, and I want you to avoid it. They go hard for a week. They wake up early, they work long hours, they cut out distractions, they feel unstoppable. And then life happens. They miss a day, then 2. And suddenly the whole system collapses and they're back where they started, waiting for motivation to strike again. This is the intensity trap, and it's why most New Year's resolutions are dead by February. What the most successful people actually practice is not intensity, it's consistency. Think about the athlete who trains every day, not perfectly, not always at full intensity, but every single day. After a year, that athlete has logged 365 training sessions. The person who trains intensely for 2 weeks and then quits has logged maybe 14. There's no comparison. Consistency compounds. Every day you show up, you build on yesterday. Skills deepen. Habits solidify. Your brain rewires itself around the new behavior. You start to become, in a very real way, a different person. And here's something beautiful about consistency. It removes the need for motivation. Motivation is unreliable. It shows up when it feels like it and disappears when you need it most. But discipline, the habit of showing up regardless of how you feel, that you can build, that you can train. And once it's built, it doesn't leave you when things get hard. The goal is not to feel motivated every day. The goal is to build a system where you do the work whether you feel motivated or not. Show up on the days you don't feel like it. Those are the days that actually change you. Part 8. Failure is not the opposite of success. Let me challenge one of the most common beliefs holding people back. Most people think failure is the opposite of success. They think if they fail, they've lost. If the plan doesn't work, if the business doesn't grow, if the relationship ends, if the project falls apart, that means they've failed. Full stop. But that's not what failure actually is. Failure is data. Failure is feedback. Failure is the world telling you, in very direct terms, what doesn't work, so you can adjust and try again with more information than you had before. Every single person who has ever built something significant has a long list of failures behind them, not despite their success. As a part of it, the failures weren't detours around the destination. They were steps toward it. Think about how you learned to walk. You fell, constantly. You fell in front of people. You fell when you were tired. You fell when you were trying your hardest. And at no point did anyone sit you down and say, look, maybe walking just isn't for you. You got up every time without thinking about it, and eventually you walked. That same instinct is still inside you, but somewhere along the way, you learned to be afraid of falling in front of people. You learned that failure is embarrassing, that it means something bad about you as a person. It doesn't. Failure means you tried, and trying consistently is the only path forward that has ever worked. Part 9. The environment you build around yourself. Here's something most motivational content skips over, but I think it's one of the most practical pieces of advice I can give you. You become what you surround yourself with. This is not abstract. This is neuroscience. The people around you, the content you consume, the conversations you have, the environment you spend time in, all of it shapes the way your brain works. The things you think are normal, the goals you think are achievable, the person you believe you're capable of becoming. If you spend your time around people who complain and make excuses, you will start to complain and make excuses, even if that's not who you are. If you fill your spare hours with content that is passive, empty, or negative, your default mental state will trend toward passive, empty, and negative. But the reverse is also true. Spend time, even digital time, around people who are building things, solving problems, growing, and pushing themselves. Watch what happens to your own ambition. It rises, not because someone told you to want more, but because your brain recalibrates to a new normal. This is why the most successful people are so intentional about their environment. They're not snobs, they're architects. They design the space around them to make the right behavior easier and the wrong behavior harder. Audit your environment. Is it building you or eroding you? The answer matters more than you think. The choice in front of you. Let me bring it all home. You started reading this or watching this for a reason. Maybe you're stuck. Maybe you're frustrated. Maybe you feel like you're capable of more than your current life reflects, but you can't quite figure out why the gap exists or how to close it. Here's what I want to leave you with. The gap is closable, I promise you that. Not by some massive, life-altering event. Not by waiting for the right opportunity or the right moment or the right version of yourself to finally show up. The gap closes one day at a time, one decision at a time, one moment where you choose discipline over comfort, action over hesitation, consistency over perfection. You don't need to overhaul your entire life tonight. You just need to make one better choice than you made yesterday, and then do it again tomorrow, and the day after that. Build a routine that serves you. Wake up early enough to have time that belongs to you before the rest of the world demands your attention. Use that time for something that builds your future, not just fills your present. Protect it like it's the most valuable thing you have, because it is. Find something worth sacrificing for and then actually sacrifice for it. Not dramatically, quietly, daily, without waiting for applause or recognition. just because the goal matters to you and that's enough. When you fail, and you will, don't make it mean something it doesn't. Collect the lesson, adjust your approach, and keep moving. And please stop waiting for someday. Today is the only day you actually have. Use it like you know that. The potential inside you is not the problem. It never was. The only question has always been whether you're willing to do what it takes to let it out. I think you are. I think that's exactly why you're here. Now go prove it.